Welcome to the Own Your Best Life podcast. I'm May Emson, your host, leadership and mindset coach. Here, we talk all things spiritual, mindset, business, leadership, and wellness for the modern seeker who wants to align their life with purpose and inspiration. We'll cover career changes, stress management, meditation, energy, intuition, and more. Each episode holds spiritual and practical tools to help you live a life of your wildest dreams without getting burnt out along the way. Ready to live a life on your own terms? This is the Own Your Best Life podcast. Okay, so welcome to episode number 174 of the Own Your Best Life podcast. So do you ever wonder how you can get your plan to match your reality? And if you feel like you're swinging from this pendulum of burnout to procrastination, today's podcast is for you. We're going to talk about soulful time blocking and how it worked for me and the shifts in thinking that I had that you can borrow for your own life. So if you haven't listened to last week's episode, we covered soulful time blocking and how it changed my life. So in summary, soulful time blocking is a holistic approach to time management that integrates your spiritual practices, your personal growth, and your well-being into your daily routine. And it goes beyond traditional time management because it prioritizes not just your tasks and the responsibilities, but also your inner development, the connection to your authentic self that we often forget. And this practice is so important because it actually recognizes that the quality of your time is just as important as the quantity of the tasks that you complete. So when I was struggling with burnout, one of the most important changes that I made wasn't just adding different activities like meditation or working out to my day. It was to think differently. So I was already meditating every day. I was already moving my body every day, but who I was when I was going through my day was still a bit playing that role of victim and the role of doer. So I was trying to work my way through every problem. Things just came and I had to handle them. And instead of bringing greater awareness and higher levels of thinking to every problem, I would just try to outwork them. And when it came to the load of work that I was dealing with, I tried to do more. I tried to find more hours, more things to do, things that I could do more quickly. Like, how could I get this done in half the time? I was all about efficiency. I read time management books. I categorized things as urgent and important. I planned my day. I prioritized, but I still felt like there was more than I could get done in a day. And not only that, the external expectations were that these would all get done in the day. And it felt like a lot all of the time and that I was failing at it. And so here are the things that I would actually do differently and that I had to do differently. And if you're in that place now, I encourage you to really hone in, listen in, take notes even, because it is that important. These are the ways that I had to think of my life and my time differently that actually made the difference. And it's how I became a better human being. It's how I made career shifts. It's how I learned new skills like getting certified at Columbia for executive coaching and the many other certifications that came afterwards, even while I had a demanding job and 2 small children and was married, right? So all these things had to happen while the rest was happening too. So the first one is this, really thinking of this concept of a holistic sense of well-being. Traditional time management often focuses on productivity, it focuses on efficiency. And soulful time blocking recognizes that well-being, your health, encompasses the physical, the spiritual, the emotional, and the mental. All of yourself, right? So it's nurturing your whole self. So I started thinking of myself as a performance athlete, someone who had to have a more holistic approach to life, like not just any performance athlete or an analogy that I would often take as I started to think about my health and my body and the way that I care for myself differently was like, I am an F1 car and you can't just put any fuel in me. I need to perform when I need to perform and I need rest, right? So you start to think, okay, it's not optional, right? I have to have a holistic approach. My life depends on me running on all cylinders well. And so I got over the initial pang of investing more money into health, which now for me is like a no-brainer. More money into health means more health for me, right? And more health, it has so many benefits to my entire life. I started seeing a holistic practitioner who was an integrative medicine practitioner. And he asked me not just about my physical health, but about my mental health, my job. When are you actually going to make that change we've talked about to your job, the career changes, giving me additional accountability to move forward and have hard conversations about leaving one job for another, making switches, doing all of that. And so this is one of the things that ended up happening because I started thinking of myself much more holistically and my well-being much more holistically, beyond the working self, beyond the mental self, beyond just the physical self, but all of it being important together. This is something to note because often when I work with people who want to shift careers, there is a whole ripple effect on their entire life when they're considering it. And so I do take a very holistic approach. We do talk about things beyond just the career because there's so much that impacts it. And who you are is more than just the job that you do, period. All right. Deepening your self-awareness was another shift that I made. When you allocate time for self-reflection, for mindfulness, this is soulful time blocking, one of the practices we talked about last week. This encourages a deeper understanding of your thoughts, your feelings, your motivations. And this level of self-awareness will contribute to your personal growth. Oftentimes, self-awareness is the precursor to success. So I began to see, for example, that my meditation practices, while great, they were not enough on their own. I needed to deepen them by actually spending more of my time noticing what my patterns were when I was thinking that led to my feelings. Sometimes we just sit there and meditate, our mind wanders the whole time, then we never check, we never say, oh, wow, that was a thought, or let me direct my mind in another direction right now. I just noticed I went down this path for the last 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes. So that work of actually checking in more often was the deepening of noticing even more, of reflecting. So I realized that the more frantic I was in my day, the more harried I was, the more I needed to slow down. The more panic I felt, the more I needed to slow down. I needed to deepen my own self-awareness of like, okay, come back. Why am I doing this? What is important about this? So I had to understand what my own motivations were and why this was important to me. And sometimes there were emotions beneath the surface that I just hadn't stopped to witness. And sometimes the thoughts are not amazing thoughts like jealousy, envy, comparison, of not enoughness. Sometimes you don't even want to go there. So I honor that maybe you're in a place where these things feel hard to even look at. It's hard to look at yourself and say, you know what, like that came from a place that wasn't that great. So I encourage you to find safe spaces for you to express the underlying thought and the underlying feelings and the underlying motivations for why you do what you do, especially when you're not used to talking about it and you're used to just going and doing through your life. And when I could see and when I could actually witness these emotions without judging myself for being too weak, being too slow, not far enough along, time actually seemed to slow down just long enough for me to figure out what I wanted to do with this information. These emotions are information, they're data, they are the breadcrumbs that are telling you exactly what to do next, how you got into this feeling and this predicament in this first place, and where to go out. So I actually started taking like a few minutes, 5 or 10 minutes sometimes after I meditated to just notice what happened and jot it down. And that practice actually created a lot of clarity. And when I even think about planning out my day ahead of time, that act was another place where I could deepen my level of self awareness. I could deepen that sense of reflection. And sometimes even planning feels slow. Sometimes I just want to get into the work, but I would tell myself, okay, you know what? You don't have to spend like an hour planning. 2 minutes is enough, right? And often you do 2 minutes, you'd be like, okay, I can do 5 minutes. I can see why it's worth it. Things are coming out of my brain. So just know that you naturally will not want to invest time, energy, money into the things that you know in your brain logically can help you. And our job is to understand why we feel that way so that we can move past it and do the things that we know to do and that would open us up to this whole different way of experiencing life that is entirely available to you right now and available to me and all of us. So these are those little moments in the day. Like, for example, I had 30 seconds and I'm halfway through the morning and I'm just like, no, 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 it's okay. Even if I haven't planned my day yet, that's enough. It's okay. Just plan, stay out of judgment, and keep moving, right? So all of these kind of little ways to shift your brain are actually huge. These tiny moments where you want to go back to the most practiced thought of, I should have done this. Why didn't I do it? It's not even worth it. And you instead try to tell yourself, even what I have is enough to move forward. That actually is more helpful to you than going back into, see what I mean? This doesn't work. They don't listen. I'm just going to have to manage this just this way that I have been the whole time versus what's another way? I'm willing. Let me see. Even this is enough. It is working. Even a small window of working, I can start to see through it. All right. And when I think about these moments of self reflection and actually deepening my self awareness, it's like when I go into a difficult yoga pose and I remember being okay, because sometimes I think in life we don't feel like it's okay to pause, to stop, to think, to take a moment to reflect on something. Like, for example, you're in a meeting and you feel like the need to have an answer, to say something, but you don't know what to say. Like, what if you actually took a moment and gave yourself 5 or 10 seconds to pause and think through it, even if it was silence that everyone's waiting for you on, and just say, let me think about it for a second and then come back. That is huge. And I remember, okay, even in yoga class, I remember the first time I actually was like, you know what? This is my practice. Let me think about what's helpful for me now. And before I went into a more difficult pose, I was just like, okay, take a few breaths, think through what it's going to look like, how it's going to feel, visualize how I'm going to move into it, and take a deep, long breath. Feels like forever, but it's really not. And then I moved into it, and it was way more successful in terms of the ability for me to be present in that moment, in that pose, instead of just, right, thinking my way constantly in it. So these are the moments of mindfulness and reflection that became more and more baked into the day, just little moments constantly spread throughout. And when I would come back to times of crisis or times of lots to do, I now have a way to recover. I now have a way to regroup. I now have literally a skill, right? Deepening self awareness is a skill that allows me to feel ready to do it again. Maybe not today, but the next day. And this is so important because the longer we go feeling exhausted and not ready, the longer we delay our life, the ability to enjoy and celebrate the present moment, and the ability to actually realize that this too shall pass. Okay. So another thing that shifted was thinking of things as meaningful growth opportunities. So while traditional time management might prioritize the completion of a task, when you think about soulful time blocking, what we're doing is we're emphasizing growth that aligns with your values, that aligns with what your aspirations and motivations are. And what you're encouraging are activities that actually bring more of that personal development, bring more of that transformation. So I began to see the smallest things as important for my growth. I would find that even the way that I talked to the kids in the morning or the way I would make my breakfast would be a place of growth. I wasn't just trying to go through it on autopilot. So, how do I bring my best self to the people around me, including myself? How do I treat myself when I don't complete a task when I wanted to complete it mattered more than just completing the task itself? So my daily workouts were a place for me, even there, to consider, am I pushing myself too hard again? Or am I noticing, ooh, when and where do I tend to pick up the pace? So these little thoughts were all about growth, about understanding myself more. And I also started doing fewer things. When I think about growth for me, it is less, uncomfortably fewer things, so that I could have more growth in the places that I did spend my time. And this was hard because it went against these patterns of wanting to fill my days. And it was also a bit exciting, and it had to be. Otherwise, I would just keep overworking and hustling. And doing less isn't just about doing nothing. I want to make sure you guys are aware. It's not about just being like, I'm relaxing for the rest of my life and not doing a thing. That's not fun either. It was about thinking more intentionally about how I wanted to feel in my life. And it was about a sense of stretch and adventure and excitement and a little bit of push, but it was not a sense of, oh my gosh, what did I sign up for? There's way too much to handle. This cannot continue for the rest of my life. So I actually ratcheted back things. I actually realized that one of the ways that I create problems for myself, right? You can be on to yourself about how you create problems, is saying yes to too many things. Not saying yes to things, but too many. So I started realizing, okay, here are the things that I would say yes to, and here are the things that I would do no more than this per month, no more than this per year. And I allowed myself within that to be like, okay, here's my per year, per month mode. This is my growth. It's not your growth, right? For you, it might be doing more. Maybe you don't do what you want to do ever and you want to do more. And saying yes and actually getting yourself to do more of those things is your growth. But for me, it was doing less because I tended to always want to do more. And the reason for that was because it came from a place of either fear, right, or ego. And those were things that I was trying to work myself through and away from by detaching. So the way I got myself around doing less was making it a little exciting by saying, okay, you're going to do those fewer things better. And you can finally lean in, you can learn what it feels like to spend the appropriate amount of time on what you want to do and more, not always feeling like you're coming from behind. And that was a trade off, but it was well worth it. Well worth it, in my opinion. I think sometimes we just need to practice what it feels like to have space in our life, to have time, to slow things down. And my belief is I get better at my gifts and I get more rewarded, exponentially more rewarded when I spend time on my gifts. I get rewarded financially, I get rewarded spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, all of the things when I spend time on the things that I'm truly gifted at than on other things. Okay, now one other shift was really about having more authenticity and connection, right? When I think about soulful time blocking, I was like, oh, this is why it worked. It's because I felt so much more authentic and connected. So, soulful time blocking creates space for authentic connection with yourself and other people, showing up as you. This is one of the most hard things to do when you're an achiever is to start to dampen the voices coming from everyone else and come back into yourself, the you of you. And it is also about fostering the relationships with other people and yourself, nurturing your passions, even understanding what those are, and connecting with your own spiritual journey, not just what is everyone else doing? What is it supposed to look like? What should I do versus what do I want to do? What do I think is meaningful and what is important? So I started seeing this is an example how I wasn't spending as much time with my family and friends as I desired. And it was also more than just the time spent, it was how present I was when I was with them. For example, I would just think about work all day long. So even if I wasn't at work, I would keep thinking about it. I would just mull it over. I would try to fix the problems of the day. And when you create space, purposeful space, soulful time block space for your brain to unwind, to reflect, to think on purpose, right? Like not constantly thinking about that thing, but saying, I have a time and space to think about this, and it's now. Go, right? It's like the race car. You're not just driving it around to get your, groceries. You don't just drive it around to go like say hi to your friend. Like you have time spaces when you want to drive the car. Other times you might do other things, use other cars. And so we often play one note on the piano and that's all we know for the like our whole life. And I'm encouraging you guys that there's like so many other notes in your piano in your life that you get to play. You don't even know how creative you can be if you stop using and doing the same things that you've been doing for your whole life up until now, right? So when you actually do this practice of connecting to who you are and giving yourself time and space to reflect on purpose, you will stop procrastinating. A lot of you are like, no, I'm not a procrastinator. I do all the things on my task list, all of that. Okay, I'll give you that. But you probably procrastinate other big decisions in your life. And people who may not procrastinate big decisions in their life, maybe are procrastinating all the other decisions in their life, the things that just bog them down on the day to day. So there's always a place, right, where we're delaying a decision that we know we can just make now. And we're delaying getting started on something that we can get started with now. We're delaying on, this is a perfect example. Okay. I had these shoes, these like Birkenstock, I think they're Avas. They're like the ones you can wear when you go to the pool, and they're made out of rubber. And I think they're like $40, maybe $60, something like that. And I had that sitting in my Amazon cart for over a year. And then when I finally got out of the funk and the haze and was like, oh my gosh, like this makes no sense. Like, what are you worried about? And I was like, well, spending more money, consuming more things. It's $40 or $50. It's like a shoe. I don't buy shoes every month. I don't buy them every week. I don't like that. This is not a common purchase. And I realized, well, that's my pattern. My pattern is like the things I'm not used to purchasing, I don't purchase them quickly. So I realized, oh, hesitation does not mean anything except that I'm just not used to it. Doesn't mean it's a bad purchase. It's a bad decision. And so when I started realizing that, I started making decisions more quickly, spending money on things that are different that I'm not sure about more quickly. Why? Because I'll learn and I'll figure it out and I'll move on. So I bought them. And of course, they were like the best thing ever, especially because we spend months going to these hot and humid destinations or in the summer. And I just lived in them. And I just kept thinking to myself, why? Like, why do we make these decisions? It was just this perfect example. But I always remember that when I hesitate on something, and I actually realize that the learning I'll get from spending the money is actually more important than the money itself. And I'm such a safe and risk averse person at times, especially with money, especially with decisions like about how to spend money. And I want to feel so responsible that I will miss out on my own growth. And so, again, authenticity is realizing that you can trust these decisions and these desires that you have, and to give yourself a little leeway to learn and grow from them. That you can trust that you won't go on a spending spree forever and ever and ever, but that you're learning and growing in these new and different ways. And so, this is why, even just when I thought about all the to dos, I was like, okay, I know what to dos are. They're massive lists of things we can never complete. Got it. Right now, you know the secret's out. It's not meant for you to finish. You can't do it. And anyone that tells you you're supposed to do all of the things, go find them. Go find them and have them explain to you exactly how in your day could you fit it all in. Because if you could have, you would have. So I'm telling you, you purposely will always put one more thing on, more things to do than you can possibly get done. So when I started realizing that, I was like, got it. Doing is just about my growth, as much about my growth in the way that I do things, the quality of my experience, the quality of the time that I spend, not just about completion and hurry up and do it perfectly. And you start to realize that the more you think about doing things in this way, like the quality of the experience that you have as you're doing it, the growth and your ability to learn more about you and who you are and the choices that you make, you realize, oh, the way I spend my time is supposed to be like a human who is being themselves, with other people. And you come out of that like dreamlike state that like I was talking about and come back to reality, and you are here now. And who am I beyond the things I did, the family that I had, or the relationships that I nurtured, the jobs that I had, the titles there, right? The places you went to school or didn't go to school. This is the authenticity. That answer that question brings you back to a feeling of peace, of presence, of curiosity, of wondering more about what life is all about. And all of those questions and all of those related feelings are the antidote to procrastination. They're the antidote to burning out. Because when you reflect on who you are, and when I reflect on who I am, it connects me back to myself, it connects me back to my why, and it connects me back to who I am, which is a spiritual being first and foremost, before a human being. And this gets me into the next shift, which is reducing burnout. Constantly being on the go, pushing yourself to complete tasks can lead to burnout. Soulful time blocking encourages breaks in your day, encourages self-care, encourages activities that recharge your energy. And it is the requirement that we often forget, which is rest. And I've had so many experiences with burnout that I know it very well. I can spot the signs of thinking just one more instead of asking, what would I do if I had to do this for the rest of my life? Patience is something that was and still is hard for me to have at times. I'm described as being patient by most people because generally I'm pretty practiced at being calm, right? And usually calm and patience are associated. But I also know that there are times that I just want to push through life quickly to hurry up and see results instead of doing the daily slow and consistent march. Yet you know as well as I do that you get the results. That feeling lasts for like 10 seconds, maybe if you're lucky, 90 seconds. Then maybe if you're really lucky, 30 minutes, and you're really lucky, a week and a day, or maybe a month. And then you're back to, but now what? And then you like push the goalposts out a little bit further. It's still not enough. A little bit more. Do it again, faster, harder, whatever it is. So that is a natural thing that's kind of there, right? You have this tendency to like move and to drive things forward. So the daily, slow, and consistent march for me was about this growth of really reconsidering the way I do life. And I actually found the best results in this approach. I have found that being kind to myself and not pushing constantly works better. It lets me stay in the game longer. And this is a really good example for those of you who feel like you're supposed to make these choices because everyone else does, and this is the way it's supposed to be. And you're in this rush and hurry, 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 and I better get there now. I'm going to tell you this. When I made myself think, like when I was making the career switch to coaching and this work of training and facilitation and away from just like strategy work and selling and telling you that this was hard because many of you are in a place where your identity is really wrapped up into your job. And so I was like, no, this is what I do, but I know I want to do this. I have no idea what that feels like, what it looks like. But what people have told me, what I've seen is that I'm supposed to quit. I'm supposed to quit this work that I'm doing today and just like start my own business, do my own thing, and then like let the wings fly and I will be fine. And when I made myself think that I had to quit the corporate world immediately, I started burning out because it was this very short term approach. It's either now or never. That is not true. It is not now or never. I will say the time to start living your life now, the time to start making moves now, but you can make small lots of incremental moves that all add up. So when I made myself think that I would do corporate work forever, who knows if I will, but I'm pretending and I'm acting as if this is just who I am. I'm going to do both corporate work and entrepreneurial work and mix it around. Who cares? That's like names at this point to me. I've started realizing that we're just playing this game called life and we've made up these names about what things are and what should be better. And I realize that the grass looks always greener from the other side. No one's just happier because they're an entrepreneur. No one's happier because they're in the corporate world. You pick your thing, you pick what you want to call it, and you pick how you want to feel and how you want to live. And I really, really, really encourage you guys to not throw out things that are working well for you for something that you think is going to be like so much better just because someone else made it seem that way. If you have that feeling and it's so true and deep within you, yes, but that was not me, right? So I will tell you that there was a tweak that I made instead of an absolute all or nothing. And that tweak led me to training and development work within the corporate space, which was a perfect logical move that utilizes all my skill sets, utilizes my experiences, and actually makes my coaching work better. And my coaching work makes that work better. So it was this weird win-win that no one else could tell me because it was my life. It was not anyone else's. And so when you start to look at burnout as a symptom of you living inauthentically and living someone else's path, that's how you start to heal and permanently eliminate burnout. So I got way better results in both areas of my life when I started realizing, what if I would do this forever? And that approach isn't just work related, it is health related, it is everything that you want to change related that allows you to do it forever. Because most of us will say, you know what, I want a lifestyle. I want a lifestyle where I have time with my kids. I want to have a lifestyle where I make a lot of money. I have a lifestyle where I get to enjoy myself. They are not saying, I want to go away only 1 week and feel like I have fun. They want their entire life to feel good. And so when you want that, you have to think entire life forever instead of thinking like people did with COVID, like, oh, it's going to last like a week. I'm just going to keep hiding out, keep not doing things, keep pretending and wishing and being stressed instead of realizing, okay, this thing's here. Like, how am I going to manage all of these health things and my life in this process? All right. Now I want to talk about one more shift. This is the last shift in thinking. It is about long-term fulfillment. When I started thinking about long-term, right, we're talking about our life. When you start to weave spiritual practices, growth-oriented activities into your routine, you are setting the foundation for long-term fulfillment because all of these things provide fulfillment. Your days are your weeks, your days become the months, then your days become the year, your days become your life. And so you end up having this really solid foundation for long-term fulfillment, for a sense of purpose in your life. For those of you that feel purposeless sometimes, this is the antidote. So all of these shifts in the way that you think, the way you feel, is that internal work that you don't always see, which is why sometimes you don't realize that this is what's happening behind the scenes. And that's why I'm trying to share these shifts in thinking, because what you didn't hear me say, you did not hear me say, get up at this time, do this at this time, exactly in this way, right? So these shifts in the way you think, you feel, is the internal work. These are your spiritual practices. These are the purposeful practices and the things that every single person can do because it's about you as an individual and the way your life is structured and the way you want your life to be. So, in summary, when we think about soulful time blocking, right, because this is like the part two of it, it is a very conscious choice to design your days in a way that aligns with your highest intentions, with your highest values. I invite you to infuse each moment with meaning, foster a sense of well being, and a sense of there's more right than wrong in your life, even now. And really think about, how do I embrace this personal growth into my daily journey and it being a requirement for my life instead of a, if I get time, I will take care of this. And the more we do this, the more we foster that deep connection to our spiritual self and the person we are beyond what we do. And this self of yours is the one that knows the why behind why you're here, what you're meant to do, and what you're going to do with that information. So, next week, we're going to dive into choosing spiritual practices, and you don't want to miss it. And if you want to take this work even deeper, on August 30th, in the Spiritual Achiever Coaching Program, we will be coaching on the topic of creating daily magic, more daily magic than ever before in your life through the power of rituals and flow states. You can reach out at www.mayamson.com/contact to learn how to sign up, to learn more. If you want to know more details, it is the way that you're going to figure out what you want to do next and actually go do it. All right, my friends, I hope you have an amazing week. I can't wait to see you guys in the coaching program on the 30th. Really excited for what's to come. And for those of you who are on the fence, please reach out. I've made a few shifts in the program to make it even more accessible for folks. And what you will get when you join is a 5-step career change process, which is the Career Revelation Academy, that helps you figure out what you want next and why and get started doing it. And you can do that within 30 days. Immediately, you'll know. You'll also have group coaching twice a month for 12 months, where these are immersive experiences for you to feel what it feels like to meditate at a deeper level, to get answers to questions, to solve problems that have been on your mind, and to reset your brain every couple weeks so that you have a longer term foundation for wellness, for resilience, for stress reduction, to build the habits of mindfulness that are so important for you to actually use your brain and cultivate yourself to access altered states of consciousness at will. And as a bonus, you're going to be able to participate in a Discover Your Leadership Strengths and Branding workshop. Another bonus is your best year workshop. Another bonus, your next 5 years, 1-day retreat. Your other bonus is a ticket to the live retreats. And another bonus, which is 12 one-on-one coaching sessions over the course of a year. So guys, you do not want to miss out. This is the time to join. And I cannot wait to see you in there. I love you, my friends. I hope you have an amazing week. Reach out at www.mayemson.com/contact and join today. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much for joining us this week on Own Your Best Life. Make sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts so that you'll never miss a show. And while you're at it, can you please rate and review on iTunes? I would so appreciate it. Share it with a friend, take a screenshot of it, and tag @MayEmson. This helps continue to get the word out. For more show notes and resources, check out www.mayemson.com. You'll have all the links to everything you heard here today. Thanks so much for listening. It's time to own your best life.